Zipper rolls out to the right, pitches off to Taylor, and Taylor's to the 20, down to the 15, down to 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Billy Taylor! Touchdown, Billy Taylor! Billy Taylor scored a touchdown from 21 yards out. The crowd goes berserk. It was November 22nd, 1969. That they came to Barry, Michigan, all dressed in maize and blue. The words were said, the prayers were read, and everybody cried. But when they closed the coffin, there was someone else inside. Oh, they came to Barry, Michigan, but Michigan wasn't dead. And when the game was over, it was someone else instead. 11 Michigan Wolverines put on the gloves of gray, and as the organ played the victors, they laid Woody Hayes away. Under center is Wangler at the 45. He goes back. He's looking for a receiver. He throws downfield to Carter. Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Welcome to the Michigan Man Podcast on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew, for Wolverine fans from coast to coast. Go Blue, and welcome to our Arkansas State Visitors Edition. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Joining us today will be the radio play-by-play voice of the Red Wolves, Matt Stolz. First, a few of my thoughts and some cuts from Sherrone's Monday presser. I said last week that after week one, there were more questions than answers with this Michigan team. Nothing has changed after a thorough dismantling by Texas. Sure, Texas is top three and has an NFL quarterback under center. That was obvious. In that way, they remind me of Michigan last year. So if anything was answered on Saturday, it is that Texas is, right now, as good as anyone in the nation. When it comes to Michigan, Saturday didn't answer many questions and probably raised more concerns on both sides of the ball. At his Monday presser, Sherrone said there is a lot to fix.
I think guys are getting a rhythm offensively. I thought, the thing that we talked about on offense, we got to run the ball more. We got to run the ball more efficiently and do things to help us and move the chains and get the ball in the end zone, which we're not doing enough. So we'll continue to fix that. And defensively, guys just got to tackle. Guys got to make plays, and guys are in position or not communicating. So there's too many wide open things happening, and that's the big piece for us. We got to get fixed.
Despite the work ahead, Sherrone said it is not time to panic.
The big thing I talked about with the team is it's urgency. It's not panic. It's the first time we've lost a game here since 2020, and the first time we've lost the in-season game since 21. So it stings. It should sting. It stings everybody. And a lot of guys haven't lost a game here at our home stadium, and nobody likes that feeling. Coaches, players, the players take it the worst. People talk about, the coaches and everybody else, but it's really the players that are in the games that take it the worst. So for us, it's consoling them, helping them get over, because they're still feeling it today. We always talk about the 24-hour rule, win or loss. And for us, it's what can we do to get better today? So we're looking at it as a 1-0. We're just trying to go 1-0 this week, worry about this week, and what can we do to get better?
Sherrone said even after the first two games, he still likes the guys in his quarterback room.
For us, it was, the quarterbacks that we had here, we felt pretty comfortable with, and those guys performed well in the spring and did a good job. And then things happen in the portal where guys go different places and all that. So we had a good beat on who we wanted to get and what we wanted to do. And for us, it was, for us to be successful and keep our culture and keep our team the right way. We have the quarterbacks we have here, and still feel like we can win with our quarterbacks, have confidence in our quarterbacks, and for us to be successful, it's not just the quarterback. Everybody around them have to perform at a good level and perform with detail and not turn the ball over and do things to make us successful. So when people point towards the quarterback, it was the same thing last year. JJ threw 3 picks in the game, and people were talking about JJ. So it's. We feel confident in our quarterback, and everybody around them have to execute their jobs at a high level as well.
Sherrone said he liked what Davis did in the second half and the fight his team showed, even though the outcome was no longer in question.
I thought Davis did a good job, especially at the end, and to that, just the fight that they all had. It's easy in a game like that for guys to just stop playing or not want to fight, not want to, those guys fought down. They kept playing, and went down and scored. Davis escaped out the pocket, did some good things, made some throws on the run. So yeah, definitely something we could build on for him.
My guest today says they are well aware of the fact Michigan will be angry and want to take it out on their visitors Saturday. He says they will come to play, though. Up next is the radio play-by-play voice of Arkansas State football, Matt Stolz. So stay with us. Joining us this week on our Visitors Edition as we get ready for another big one on Saturday is Arkansas State radio play-by-play voice Matt Stolz. Matt, great to have you with us.
Mike, great to be with you.
Well, Matt, the Red Wolves are off to a 2-0 start heading into Saturday's matchup with Michigan, so that's good. So for Michigan fans, let's get to know this Arkansas State team a little bit better, starting with head coach Butch Jones, a guy who was born in Saugatuck, Michigan, by the way. Played at Ferris State, great D2 program. So playing Michigan in the Big House, I would think is going to be very special for him.
Yeah, a bit of a homecoming for Butch Jones this week. And we recorded our TV show on Sunday morning, and that's one of the first things I asked him, just how many family and friends were planning to come to the game on Saturday. And he said, I've already got about 50 requests out. So I know that a lot of people are planning to be there. A lot of people connected to Coach Jones. He is somebody that's so well respected and liked throughout the coaching profession, all of college football, and has so many Michigan ties. And I know he had a text from your president after the game on Saturday night and said he was ready to see him coming up this weekend. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of interest, and Coach Jones certainly looking forward to heading back to Michigan.
Well, Matt, Butch Jones has been around the NFL as an analyst, a position coach in college, a head coach at some big-time programs. He's in his third season as coach there, and it seems he's got the program headed in the right direction, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he really had to flip the program around. Now, I say that, and you look back at the long-term success that the Red Wolves had from that period from 2011 to 2019. It really was kind of a golden age for Arkansas State football. It was a period where A-State had 9 straight winning seasons, 9 straight bowl games. They won 5 conference championships during that span. But after the 2020 season, Blake Anderson moved to Utah State, and at that point, the roster had almost completely flipped. And when Coach Jones came in, he soon found out that it was going to be a complete rebuild. And, you know, in this day and age, Mike, where the transfer portal is such a big thing and people are looking for quick fixes, Coach Jones really didn't go that route. He wanted to rebuild this program through the high school ranks. And you really don't see a lot of programs, especially group of 5 programs, trying to build that way. But, you know, he stuck to his plan throughout this time, now in his 4th year at Arkansas State, and he's turned in 3 straight number 1 recruiting classes in the Sunbelt. And you're starting to see this program reap the benefits. Yeah, it was tough in the early going. They won 2 games his first year here in 2021. They won 3 games the following season. But last year, kind of turned a corner a little bit, really got better as the season progressed, and they ended up back in a bowl game for the first time since 2019. So looking to build on that now, and the Red Wolves hoping to compete for a conference championship.
Well, as we mentioned at the top, the Red Wolves have started the season 2-0. Week 1 was a comeback victory over Central Arkansas, and I saw that was one which Coach Jones said was one of the best he's ever been a part of. And then Saturday night, once again, a come-from-behind win over Tulsa. Winning like that 2 weeks in a row tells you this team has some grit and wants to get it done.
Yeah, I think they showed a lot of fight in both of those games in the second half. Now, they were two different stories. You go back to the UCA game in week 1, Red Wolves actually led that game by 3 scores. It was 27-10, 45 seconds into the fourth quarter, and credit to Central Arkansas. They came back. They're one of the better programs in the FCS this year. And they took the lead with 55 seconds to go, but the Red Wolves able to drive down. They went 70 yards in the final 55 seconds and were able to get the game-winning touchdown with 3 seconds to go. And then it was kind of a different story this past week against Tulsa. The Red Wolves actually were down 10 at the half. It was 17-7 at halftime, and Tulsa had the football first in the third quarter, and thought the Red Wolves really responded well. They were able to get a takeaway on Tulsa's first possession of the second half, and then after that, the Red Wolves able to go down and score. Then they force a 3 and out, and then right after that, they return a punt, 77 yards for a touchdown, and A-State's able to go on and win. And really, it was that critical stretch coming out of the locker room, the first 4 minutes of the third quarter, that was the big difference for the Red Wolves. So, yeah, they came from behind in both games. They had to do it in a couple of different ways, though.
Well, let's get to know some of the offensive weapons we're going to see in the Big House on Saturday, Matt, starting with the sophomore quarterback, Jalen Rayner. Not a big guy, but he finds his receivers, can get yards with his legs. I think he was the Sunbelt Freshman of the Year last year. Pretty dynamic-looking player.
Yeah, he's really fun to watch, a true dual threat at the quarterback position. And last year, he was a true freshman and was listed as third on the depth chart beginning the season. But he really just has that kind of it factor that you're looking for in a quarterback. And even as a true freshman last year, you could tell that the guys kind of gravitated toward him. And when he won the starting job, he got his first start in week 4 last season. There was no doubt he was the guy going forward. And as you mentioned, Mike, able to go on and become the Sunbelt Conference Freshman of the Year. And he's really had a good offseason. He actually was one of just 3 quarterbacks entering their sophomore season in the entire nation to be invited to the Manning Passing Academy this summer. So he was able to get some great experience there, and thought he really looked sharp last week in that win over Tulsa, and he's just going to continue to get better.
And I like what Coach Jones said about him last year, that he's a leader, has the intangibles, that he's a CEO type of quarterback. And the thing that has impressed me watching him on tape is he's one of those kids that has that uncanny presence in the pocket, doesn't he?
He does, and I think that it's great because he does have that dual threat ability. And last week in the win against Tulsa, he rushed for over 70 yards. So you really got to keep an eye on him. He's always a threat to run the football. But what's impressed me through his first season plus as quarterback is the fact that he really doesn't force anything. He makes good decisions. He only had 7 interceptions last year as a true freshman, which I think is a very telling stat. He's not going to force anything that is not there. He knows to throw the ball away in those situations. But, yeah, very, very smart. And he's got a really good touch on his deep ball as well. And I think he's a guy that's just going to continue to get better and better. And I think he can be one of the better group of 5 quarterbacks there is.
Well, his receiving core looked solid against Tulsa. Reagan Ely, Corey Rucker stood out to me. Talk about that group, Matt.
Really solid group. Courtney Jackson is another receiver. He's a guy that transferred from Syracuse the year before last, and he actually was the one that returned the punt for the touchdown this past week against Tulsa. But I think that receiving core with Courtney Jackson and Corey Rucker, really, really solid. Those are a couple of preseason All-Sunbelt selections. You mentioned Reagan Ely, really good possession receiver, guy you can put in the slot. He had 6 catches in the win against Tulsa the other night. Adam Jones, who actually began his career at Central Michigan before coming to Arkansas State. That was back as a redshirt freshman, but he's the son, one of Coach Jones' three sons. But Adam has become a big part of the offense as well. Actually had a touchdown catch in the first quarter of the game last week. But I think it's a really, really deep group, deeper than what Coach Jones has had in his previous three seasons at Arkansas State. And you're right. I think it's one of the stronger positions for A-State in 2024.
Well, as far as the running game goes, Zach Wallace looks like a good, tough, shifty back. As far as I know, he's the leader in that ground game. I didn't see many other guys get carries the other night, Matt.
Yeah, well, you do have a really good running back core with Zach Wallace, who has been the guy so far through the first 2 weeks. He's a senior, but you've got another guy, a preseason all-conference selection, in Jaquez Cross, that's more of a shifty back. Wallace is more of that power running back that can eat up a lot of yards. You want to put him in on short yardage situations, but he's also possible. He's got that capability of breaking off a big one. Jaquez Cross, again, more shifty, more of your speed back. And then Cedric Hawkins, and we got another running back by the name of Devin Spencer, a true freshman that they really like that you might see as well.
Well, I don't know what the run-pass ratio is with this offense. When I watched the highlights of the first two games, it seemed that this offense likes to spread the field, sling it around. How would you describe this Red Wolves offensive style?
Well, I think it's very balanced. And when you have a guy like Jalen Rayner, he's going to keep defenses very honest because you have to account for him in the run game. But yeah, I think this is a very balanced offense. You mentioned the receiving core. They're extremely talented, but I think our offensive line has a chance to be a real strength of this team. Now they're still trying to get healthy right now, but they got a big addition back last week at center. Jacob Bears, a senior at center. He's a guy that tore his ACL just over 5 months ago and somehow was able to just rehab quickly enough to get back for week 2 this season, which is amazing. And he is the heart and soul of the offensive line. He might be our best player on the entire team. He was one of the highest graded centers in the entire nation last season, according to Pro Football Focus. But you've got a big-time offensive lineman there at center in Jacob Bear, and then you got some good guys around him as well. So it starts up front as it does with any good offense, but I think as well-rounded as this group is right now, the balance certainly is one of its strengths.
Well, over on the other side of the ball, defensive coordinator Rob Harley sort of had his work cut out for him putting the defense back together. He had 5 starters back, lost an abundance of key contributors. I'm guessing this defense is a work in progress right now. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, but I think they're taking some strides. You talked earlier about UCA and that game in week 1, and it was really the big plays that got Central Arkansas back in that ball game. And A-State only gave up 3 explosive plays to Tulsa in week 2, so I thought that was a big improvement. There are a lot of really, really positive signs from the defense right now. I think our linebacking core is extremely strong. We've got 3 seniors that start at that position. Justin Parks is extremely solid. He had 12 tackles in the win over Tulsa the other night. Char Willikis is a Michigan guy. He actually began his career at Michigan State. He's from Rockford. He's a big part of the defense at that Mike spot. And then Marvin Ham is also a Michigan native. He played his first 5 years of his career at Colorado. He transferred to Arkansas State this season, and he's been really good through the first 2 weeks. So I think that linebacking core is really strong. I think we've got a couple of really good guys on the interior of the defensive front, a couple of guys that are returners, and Tim Hardiman and Nate Marty. And then the Red Wolves really had to hit the portal hard as far as the defensive end position. Right now we're rotating 5 defensive ends, and they're all transfers. And, we've seen some guys really step up in those roles through the first 2 weeks. I think Ryan Whitehead is probably the most talented in that group. He was extremely impressive last week in the win over Tulsa. He's a Liberty transfer. He had 4 quarterback hurries in that victory last week. So I think there's some guys stepping up. And then you look at the secondary, Mike, and you've got some guys that have a little bit of experience. Travion Thomas is a senior at the safety spot. He's one of the leaders of the defense. James Reed has played well at safety, but then you got a guy like Dante Joyner that played a little bit as a freshman last year, but he's now a starter at that corner spot, and he's been so far so good at that corner position. So, yeah, I think you've got a pretty even mix of returners and newcomers on that defense, but I thought they really took some strides from week 1 to week 2.
Well, Matt, one of the things Michigan fans have to thank Arkansas State for is Dominic Zavada, who I'm certain the Red Wolves wanted to keep. But sophomore kicker Clune Van Andel was the Sunbelt Special Teams Player of the Week after the opener. So it sounds like even with Zavada gone, the kicking game is in really good hands.
Well, first off, I love Dominic Zavada. He is a fantastic young man, and we really, really enjoyed having him at Arkansas State for the 2 years that he was here. We hate losing him, and I'll tell you, we're recording this on Monday morning, and I was actually texting with Dominic's dad this morning. We were trying to figure out a time to meet up this weekend before the game, but a great, great family. I'm really happy that Dom is off to such a good start this season at that place kicker spot. You mentioned Clune Van Andel. He's a guy that was the kickoff guy last year and has moved into the place kicker position with Dominic Zavada gone. That job was open, and it really was a 3-man competition during camp. But Clune has come in so far. He's made all of his attempts and was, as you mentioned, the Sunbelt Conference Special Teams Player of the Week after the Week 1 win over UCA. So hopefully we don't have too big of a drop-off at that spot, but when you lose a player of the caliber of a Dominic Zavada, that's some big shoes to fill.
Well, Matt, last year the team, Arkansas State, played in the Camellia Bowl, lost to Northern Illinois 21-19. Yes, the same Northern Illinois that beat Notre Dame on Saturday. So this year's team, I would think, is expected not only to get back to a bowl, but as you mentioned earlier, maybe even challenge in that Sunbelt West.
Yeah, and there's some good teams in the West. Texas State's off to a really good start. They're going to certainly be one of the favorites in the Western Division. Louisiana Lafayette certainly will be up there as well. And, you know, Troy's always in that conversation as well. Troy has won the last 2 Sunbelt Conference championships, but we feel like this is an Arkansas State team that certainly can compete for a division title and a spot in that Sunbelt Conference championship game. I think Coach Jones, and we talked about the 3 straight number 1 recruiting classes that he's brought in, but he's built his own culture. And I think that the feel around this program is as good as it's been in a while. And yeah, I think the expectations for good reason, because they took that big step last year and got to 6 wins, got back to a bowl game. We expect more than that this year and expect to get this program back to where it was for such a long stretch. I talked about that 9-year stretch from 2011 to 2019 where this program was just, you know, reeling off winning season after winning season. And hopefully we can start a run like that again. And I think the fan base feels that that can start this year.
Well, final question before we let you get away, Matt, on this busy game week. What does it mean to a team and a program like Arkansas State and their fan base to have the opportunity to play in the Big House against Michigan this Saturday?
Well, usually there's one of these types of games on the schedule, and we've been to some great atmospheres in the past, you know, Auburn's and Alabama's and Texas A&M. We've been to USC, and a couple of years ago we were at Ohio State. Last year at Oklahoma. But I will tell you, there's as much excitement as we've had in a while. Just getting ready to go to the Big House this week and take on the defending national champs. I think there's a certain excitement that goes along with just doing that. Playing the reigning champions, but playing in the kind of atmosphere that we're going to see this weekend. certainly something that I know everybody's excited about. And then you add the elements of it being a homecoming for Butch Jones. I think that's kind of icing on the cake. So there's a lot of anticipation leading up to this game. Red Wolves certainly hope they can come in and be competitive on Saturday.
Well, it is the first ever meeting between these two schools, and of course Michigan coming off a real thud of a game on Saturday against Texas. It's going to be interesting, so we're all looking forward to it. And we'd like to thank Arkansas State Radio play-by-play voice Matt Stolz for joining us today. Matt, thank you for your time, and enjoy your trip to the Big House.
Mike, thanks so much for having me. Look forward to being there this weekend.
On Quick Hits today, no injury news from Sherrone on Monday at his presser, other than to say Jack Tuttle was throwing more and could be 100% soon. On Thursday's Game Day show, we'll be joined by Chris Ballas from the Wolverine magazine and the Wolverine on 3. I am sure he'll have plenty to say about the Texas game and be brutally honest about the path forward. We'll also have the usual Game Day notes of interest, any injury news or updates, and the Game Day forecast. So make sure you join us. That will do it for now. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Have a great Wolverine week, everyone. Until we meet again on Thursday, take care, and as always, go blue. Thanks for joining us today on The Michigan Man, here on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Our listener lines are open 24/7 for your calls at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Or email us at themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. That's themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. The Michigan Man Podcast is produced at the studios of Robin Lynn Productions, Allen Park, Michigan, and is not affiliated with the University of Michigan. Go Blue!